Hi guys, it's Wendy from cinnamonsweetshoppe.com, and today I'm going to show you how to make chocolate, homemade chocolate with just 4 ingredients. Now in a recent video, which I will have linked onto this description, I mentioned the differences between using a candy coating and using real chocolate. This recipe is a clean eating recipe. It tastes really good. You can make candy bars with it, you can dip fruit with it, you can make peanut clusters as well. Now I do want to go over the ingredients. I'm going to be using vanilla extract, cocoa powder, maple syrup. You can use honey as well, or any kind of liquid sweetener. You can also use sugar. I would always recommend using an organic sugar, but you would have to put it in a blender and really crush it up till it's very, very fine. Now also I'm using cocoa butter, and cocoa butter is naturally hard. It has to be melted down. In place of cocoa butter, you can use a coconut oil. Now I prefer cocoa butter because it naturally comes in chocolate and I love the taste of it, and I really don't like coconut. So cocoa butter is a little bit harder to get. No, actually it's a lot harder to get. It's not even a little. Especially in the United States. Your average store does not sell this. I do have a link in the description box on where you can buy this as well. It's also not a very inexpensive grocery item to buy. Cocoa butter is running right now about $15 a pound. We're only going to be using about 2 ounces of it for this recipe, but it's very, very expensive, and that's why you don't really see a lot of the cheap, as I like to call it, cheap candy with cocoa butter. They now use all kinds of other cheaper ingredients in it, but this is really the best ingredient when you're making chocolate. If you use coconut oil, which many recipes on the internet to make chocolate will say to use coconut oil, you can use it. I personally don't find coconut oil to be inexpensive, but it's certainly much less expensive and easier to get than cocoa butter. The one thing you do want to keep in mind when using coconut oil is coconut oil will give your chocolate a coconut taste. I don't like the taste of coconut. Many people do not. So it's going to be up to your personal preference who you're making the candy for. But if you can get hold of the cocoa butter, which as I said I have linked below, then you're really better off using it, trying it. There's many other recipes you can use with cocoa butter, not just making homemade chocolate. You can make hand lotion with it. Now the recipe I have linked, or the ingredient for cocoa butter I have linked below, is a food grade quality. You want to make sure when you're buying it, it says it's food grade quality. Not all of it is. You don't want to go to your beauty store and buy the stuff up the beauty aisle that says Palmer's cocoa butter. It's not food grade quality. When it was processed on equipment that chemicals could have been processed on, toxic chemicals, other cosmetics. So you always want to buy a food grade cocoa butter. Now in the next clip I'm going to show you how to melt and mix the ingredients, so stick around. So here I have a double boiler setup. I have about 1 inch of water in the pot and a bowl, a metallic bowl on top, and I have the setting on medium low. Cocoa butter has a very low melting point, so it should melt pretty quickly. And as it melts, it will have almost a golden color to it. So I'm just going to keep stirring it around. And once it's completely dissolved, I'm going to add in the cocoa powder. And I'm using a Dutch process powder. It doesn't really matter whether you use regular or Dutch process, but I do like that dark chocolatey look to it. And I want to make sure all of the lumps are out, so I'm just going to keep mixing it. Then I'm going to add in the maple syrup. And again, the recipe, I do have measurements on it, but you want to play it by ear. You want to taste your chocolate beforehand and adjust the sweetness. I don't really like mine overly sweet, so that's enough for me, but If you want a little sweeter, you may want to add a little bit more. And then I'm going to add about a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract. And you can add flavorings as well. They do sell candy flavoring like maple syrup, cinnamon. And there I have my chocolate. It's shiny, it's fluid, it's easy to work with, and it's delicious. So just like working with candy coating, or even if you were to melt chocolate and temper it, I molded some of my chocolate. I made some roses. I dipped these in chocolate. These are pretzel sticks. I even made some peanut butter cups out of it. And with the rest of the chocolate, whatever's left over, you could refrigerate this. You could save it and remelt it for something else, or you could even use this as an ice cream topping or top a cupcake with this. So for me, the best part for tasting would be just to eat it right out of the container. And it's so good. And you know you want to try this. You know you would just do this yourself.